Welcome to Formosa Dream Chasers.
We're your hosts, Mary Ann
and Ching-en.
Please join us as we explore the journeys amazing people take in pursuit of their dreams.
And get insights from their experiences.
Let's hit the road
and get started.
Hello and welcome to Formosa Dream Chasers. Today marks the first day of 2026. So before anything else, Happy New Year, everyone. I wish everyone a wonderful new year ahead, one that is filled with good health, joy, and prosperity for everyone. So I don't know how everyone feels about the new year, but personally, whenever January 1st rolls around, I always kind of feel a bunch of mixed emotions about it. Probably because for me, it's a moment to take stock. It's a time when I look back at what has happened in the last year and then look ahead, sometimes with a bit of excitement, sometimes with pressure, but more often than not with a mix of both. So as I take this time to reflect, I invited a good friend of mine, Michelle Capistrano, who you've met, I think, 2 years ago when we first interviewed her, to take some time to look into what we always talk about during the new year, which is our New Year's resolutions. So, hi Michelle, and welcome back to the show.
Hi Marianne, it's nice to be back. Thank you for having me once again.
Thank you also for making time.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me. So I guess we're gonna talk about our New Year's resolution for 2026.
Yes, we will. But before we get into that, is there anything that you feel particularly good about which happened last year?
Yeah, actually, I just figured out something about my personal health that I'm quite happy about, and then I'm practicing certain protocols right now for my health so that I can just move forward with life in a healthier way, and just looking forward to a really productive 2026 with a very good health protocols in place for me.
Okay, that's good to hear. On my end, I don't really have a particular moment in mind of something that happened last year, but I do want to say that I'm very grateful for, friends and family that have stayed with me throughout the years, not just last year. So it's always good to remember the people that have supported you and loved you, all this time.
Yeah, I think you really have to appreciate their contributions to your life in a positive way. I mean, it's just better when you have family around supporting you, especially on the emotional and the spiritual side. Yeah, especially the ones who are also going through something, and yet they still have the bandwidth or the capacity to sit in the mud with you. So I'm really appreciative of those people, whether they be family or friends. In my case, my church mates who have been very supportive towards me this past year. So I'm very grateful for their presence in my life. So it's more like a community that I've built also in 2025 with my church mates that also helped me with my situations and my problems as I navigated through 2025.
Since we didn't mention this ahead of time, you're actually based in Singapore and you live there away from your family who are still in the Philippines. For listeners that are wondering about why you're talking about this community, it's mainly because you went overseas to pursue your dreams, and so that's what you mean, that you built this community outside of your home country.
Yes.
Okay. Shifting topics a little bit.
Okay.
We've stated what we've been grateful for the past year. And since it is the new year, it's already 2026. So let's start talking about New Year's resolutions, since everyone usually talks about that at this particular point in time. So Michelle, do you have any thoughts about New Year's resolutions, and or do you have any New Year's resolutions?
Yeah. The thing with the New Year's resolutions, I've learned over time that you really have to be mindful about what type of resolutions you would want to have in the coming year, because I've seen people, even myself, like even write it down or like put it somewhere where you can see them, like a vision board. But you would realize at the end of the year, from the time that you put them in writings, that you only like tend to tick just a few of them. So I realized that you don't really have to have a lot. You just have to have enough that will really have an impact at the end of the year. Yeah, so for me, it's just making sure that I maintain my health, like continue with my current health protocols, making sure that my relationships are nurtured, which is, to me, when I say nurture, that means I take care of the quality of my relationships with my family and friends, and then ensure that I perform well at work, have a target for savings this year, and then the last bit would be try to find a way to have another income stream. So I just want to keep it like very like a short list, but that's very doable for me in the coming year, and just something that I can do that at the end of the year I'd feel good about myself, and I'll feel more motivated to maybe either maintain or have maybe another notch in my target for 2027. So I just want to keep it, in other words, I just want to keep it as realistic as possible. Yeah.
Okay.
And doable for me. Yeah.
I think that's a very good point, especially when we start making our New Year's resolutions, because sometimes we have these very high goals
Yes.
in what we want to achieve, but we haven't really sat down to really look into it as to how that will break down into achievable action items.
Yeah.
So I like your point of just sitting down and looking at it and making it realistic. Because, it's also really hard when you look back at what you planned on doing and then you didn't achieve it, right?
Yeah, correct.
You're in that mental space where you start berating yourself of, why didn't I do this, and how could I let myself down, and all that. So I like the point you brought up on keeping it realistic.
And then I think the way to measure it would be to like have certain metrics or goals that can actually be achievable, like in like 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and then 12 months, So something that really moves the needle, so you don't feel overwhelmed and you don't feel like putting tremendous pressure on yourself that you end up feeling demotivated to just achieve your goals.
Right.
So something bite-sized that you can do daily.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe it would help also if you have an accountability partner. You can like talk to, like, hey, I have to achieve this goal in like 3 months. So if I'm not there yet, can you like reinforce my goals for me so I can still be on that path? But that's just me. I mean, that's how I would approach it.
Okay. Well, since we're talking about approaches when it comes to New Year's resolutions, for this year, I am taking a different approach to it because, like, if you look at the term resolution, it actually means firmness of resolve, according to Merriam-Webster, or determination, right? So in Oxford also describes it as a firm decision to do or not to do something, or the quality of being determined and resolute. So I like the tips you gave as to how to continue to be determined to achieving those goals. But my approach for this year is to look at it differently, because I feel that with the word resolution, sometimes, and of course this is my personal interpretation, right? Everyone looks at it differently. But sometimes maybe there is an unspoken expectation that we need to fix something in ourselves, that something is lacking or that needs to be improved. And I feel like it's not necessarily about fixing something, and rather taking a more honest look about what we actually want and what we realistically need. So for me, I'm reframing the idea of New Year's resolutions and rather choosing the word or the term intention instead. Because I feel that when we use the term intention, it's not about perfection per se, but it's rather about a direction where you want to go towards.
Yeah.
And of course, I understand that in some manner, I'm talking about semantics. I just feel that the word intention may be a little bit more accepting of the human side that we all have. You know, we we fall down and then we just need to also pick ourselves up, but we don't need to be so, I don't know, so negative whenever we fall down and not do what we set out to do in the first place.
Well, you don't have to be too hard on yourself if you don't really make it. The goal is always progress, not perfection.
I totally agree with it. So
Yeah.
whether you look at it as a resolution or as an intention, the main thing is just to move forward, right? Whatever you choose to do, whether it's to slow down and appreciate life more or to try something new, you know, even if you're bad at it at first, the things that we do don't really need to be big or impressive. And so long as they're personal and meaningful, then that should be more than enough.
Yeah, and you also have to factor in things that you cannot control. Like for me, my sickness came in around August of last year, which I had no control over. So that threw me off a bit with my momentum for the year. So I tried not to let that bother me or affect my drive. I just wanted to just figure out a way on how to still achieve my goals despite the drawbacks. And it's a journey. So you really have to like go with the flow sometimes and not be too hard on yourself. And at the end of the day you realize that you're still better than you were like last year, then that's still a win.
Totally. Okay. So we've talked about your New Year's, you know, resolution or your intention for 2026. And part of the New Year discussion is also like a bucket list. And this is actually something I'm very curious about because I don't think we've talked about our bucket lists.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's on your list of like things you want to
For 2026?
Yeah.
Well, I'm in a relationship right now, so I just want to spend 2026 in a way where I really get to know my boyfriend in a deeper way.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe travel more. Yeah, and then make sure not to, you know, like disregard my health. My health is very important for me because it is the one that allows me to do the things that I need to do with my life. I can, you know, like achieve my goals if I'm healthy. So yeah, it's one of my bigger priorities.
Right. When you said you wanted to travel more, do you have a particular place or country in mind that you want to go to?
Maybe Europe and the US, and then some parts of Asia like Thailand or Vietnam would be nice. Oh, Japan would be very nice. So that would be great. Do you have you have anything in your bucket list that you would like to achieve for 2026? Travel, career, personal goals.
So last year, especially like the last few months, personally have been a doozy for me, mainly because someone I care very much for got sick.
Yeah.
And I've been spending a lot of my personal time taking care of her. So that one incident actually made me realize that I have taken time for granted a lot. I poured a lot of my time into work, which we all do because, you know, we have to live. And
Yeah.
we need
A source
income.
of income.
Right. So one thing I have realized though that a lot of my time has been spent at work, and I'm trying to rebalance it in such a way so that I get to spend more time with this person that I care about because they're actually quite sick. So if we're looking at bucket lists and goals, then or intentions, then my intention actually this coming year is pretty simple and straightforward. I just want to allocate more time so that, you know, at the end of the day, I don't regret not being able to spend more time with loved ones, because when the person got sick, I had a lot of regrets because you never know what's going to happen, right? So I had a lot of
Yeah.
regrets. I didn't spend more time with them, and that I just didn't make more meaningful moments. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that for me was my takeaway from last year and what I plan to change for 2026.
Mm. Yeah, that I think those are really good goals and things to do for 2026. I think it's very important to focus on those things, especially
Yeah.
when you're coming from that situation towards the last year, the tail end of last year.
Right. So before we wrap up our discussion on like New Year's resolutions and bucket lists and intentions for this coming year, is there anything else you want to add or to share to our listeners?
I think just don't forget to enjoy the journey, even if it's difficult. Even if it's difficult sometimes to just live in the moment. Yeah,
Okay.
because my tendency sometimes is to overthink things, and I forget to live in the moment, and because of that I lose the enjoyment of the journey. I tend to not enjoy the journey as I move through it. So just don't forget to enjoy the experience as you go through achieving your goals or just your day to day. Life doesn't have to be so, I mean, it can be mundane sometimes, but it doesn't have to be, how to say, it doesn't have to feel like it's a chore every day to go through life. Yeah. So I think if you really appreciate even the small things every day, even if they're mundane, I think your outlook in life would probably be better. Yeah.
Okay. I would also like to share a similar message to our listeners. And basically, I just want to say that, as 2026 unfolds, I hope that we remember that it's okay if our goals change, and it's more than okay
Yes.
if we fall off the track. And
Yes.
it's okay if, let's say, in the middle of the year, suddenly you realize that what's happening is nothing like what you imagined at the start of the year, like in January. I think it's important to remember that progress isn't always visible. Sometimes it's happening quietly in the way we think, in the way we react, and in the way we treat ourselves. And all of that still counts. Yeah, it's this, these small experiences are just as important as much as the big milestones that you wanted to hit at the beginning of the year. So
Yeah.
that for me is my, ending message for our listeners.
Yeah.
So I suppose with that, Michelle, I do want to thank you for your time, for chatting with me about
You're very welcome.
New Year's
Yeah.
resolutions and how we want 2026 to unfold. I also want to thank all of our listeners right now for spending a little part of your new year with me. And so wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope that this year brings everyone moments of growth, of rest, and more than anything, of unexpected joy. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, Michelle.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to all who listened to this conversation. Yeah. And have a wonderful new year ahead. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
This is Ching and Cho.
And Mary Ann Shoko.
See you guys next week. Bye.